Hi everyone. Let us today discuss another important article in the Indian Express, which is about the Vienna Convention of 1961. As all of you must be knowing that India had asked Canada to downsize its diplomatic staff. Both the countries have invoked the 1961 Vienna Convention. The US and the UK have mentioned it too. Now, let us understand as to what the Vienna Convention of 1961 talks about regarding the downsizing or the recalling of the diplomats from different countries around the world. Now, the context here is that India and Canada are in a diplomatic standoff, and Canada had to recall 41 of its diplomats from India due to the concerns about losing diplomatic immunity. This follows India's request for quote unquote parity in the number of diplomats in both countries. Now, let us discuss Canada's reason for recall. Canada recalled diplomats to protect their immunity, as India had planned to remove immunity uh, for most Canadian diplomats. India's move, as all of you must be knowing, was in response to the diplomatic dispute by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's unfounded claims about Indian involvement in a killing which India rejected. Now, Canada in this regard has also received a bit of support from the US and the UK. Who have actually emphasized the importance of having diplomats to resolve differences. They've mentioned the Vienna Convention on diplomatic relations in this regard. Now, let us study the Indian response regarding the entire issue or the entire controversy. India disagreed with Canada's move, arguing that it violated international law. India invoked the Vienna Convention to justify its actions, seeking parity in diplomatic presence. Now, if I have to simply understand it, by parity, India meant that Canada should have as much diplomats in India as India has in Canada, right? So, if there are 10 Indian diplomats serving in Canada, Canada must also not have more than 10 or say around 30, 40, right? I'm just giving you an example to explain it. Now, the Vienna Convention on diplomatic relations is the most important part. Let us discuss it now as to what the Vienna Convention says about the diplomatic relations. Vienna Convention is a UN treaty that outlines how countries must treat each other's diplomats for friendly relations and communications. Diplomatic immunity is a key principle here. All of you must have heard about it, I'm sure. This diplomatic immunity basically grants diplomats exemption from certain laws and taxes for their safety. Let me give you an example that if a diplomat in serving in any country is commits even the most heinous crimes, or is accused of even the most heinous crimes as per the country's laws, that diplomat would not be subject to the laws of that land, right? This is just to protect. This is what the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations stipulated, and this is just to protect the diplomats serving in, say, for example, hostile countries. Now, diplomatic immunity is a key principle granting diplomats exemption, as I said, granting them exemption from certain laws and taxes for their safety. Today, 193 countries have ratified the convention, and India uh, ratified this convention in 1972. Ratification means that the countries agree that this treaty should be legally binding on them, and they'll have to adhere to all its principles. Now, recalling diplomats under the convention. So Article 9 Article 9 of the Vienna Convention allows the receiving state in this case means India. Article 9 allows the receiving state to declare a diplomat persona non grata without explanation, right? This is important. So this is very well within the rights of a receiving country to declare a diplomat persona non grata, and the country doesn't have to give an explanation in that regard. Now, the sending state, in this case Canada, must then recall the diplomat, right? That is important. And if the state, that is the sending state, refuses to do so, that can lead to non recognition by the receiving state, which means that the diplomats will lose their diplomatic immunity. Article 9 of the Vienna Convention allows the receiving state to limit the size of diplomatic mission. So even here, even in this case, the actions of India, wherein it actually restricted or called for parity regarding the presence of diplomats in both the countries, India was well within its rights to do that, because Article 11 of the convention allows the receiving state to limit the size of a diplomatic mission. Now, external affairs minister's statement in this regard was that the invoking parity was in accordance with the Vienna Convention. Now, India had concerns about the Canadian interference in its internal affairs. Past diplomatic recalls. Now, let us discuss if there have been recalls of this side, of this sense. Previously as well, whether this has happened previously as well. Now, in 2017, Canada and the United States also recalled each other's diplomats based on the principle of parity during strained relations. So this was a summary of this article, and it basically simplifies the key points for your easy understanding and memory. If you like it, please let me know in the comments, and if you'd want any other topics to be covered in the same series. Thank you.